Hi, this is Eric from longboxreview.com. Welcome to the show. Hey, today I wanted to talk about some comic books that I read near the end of 2020. So this is what I'm hoping is the first of a series of chats I have about comics I'm reading. So kind of a pull list review, if you will. So we'll see how it goes. Just some quick thoughts about some of the books that I read, like I said, near the end of the year. So I think everything came out in December, but your mileage may vary on that, just because I pulled out a bunch of books that I had read recently. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to talk about is DC's Very Merry Multiverse. This is their 80-page giant featuring 10 tales of heroic holiday hijinks. And so this is their Christmas, their holiday comic book. And I'm a sucker for Christmas comics, as people may know. I have done for the last 4 years a Christmas gab bag episode near the end of the year with George from Meanwhile at the Podcast. And so we talk about Christmas or Christmas adjacent, as I like to say, comics. And so, of course, I had to get this book. I don't want to talk too much about it because I'm fairly certain I will be talking about it next December with George. So, but I just wanted to say there are some lovely stories in this book. Of course, it starts off with a Harley Quinn story, as most of these DC holiday specials I've noticed over the last few years do. It was nice to see Plastic Man in the Gotham by Gaslight universe. Oh, and that, like I said, it says DC's Very Merry Multiverse. And so we get a bunch of different characters from the different multiversal worlds in the DCU, which I love. I love that concept. In fact, after reading this and seeing these characters, some of these characters again, it made me really I want DC, if I were running DC, or if DC were beholden to me in any way, I would love for them to publish an anthology series that is just about multiversal characters. So every month we get 3 or 4 stories featuring various characters across the DC multiverse, and just run with it, play with it, explore it. God, I would love that. I would buy the crap out of that that comic book. Okay, anyway, like I said, the Plastic Man shows up in the Gotham by Gaslight. One of the stories in here that I absolutely loved is Teen Justice from Earth 11. And so this was written by Ivan Cohen, art by Eleonora Carlini, colors by Ulysses Areola, and letters by Becca Carey, edited by Michael McAllister. And it's, it just like any of the alternate universe characters that we get, there are obvious analogs to our regular DCU. But here, all of the characters are gender swapped. So you have a Donald Troy instead of a Donna Troy. You have a Clarion, the witch girl, in this. So, Kid Quick, which is Jess Chambers, not Jesse Chambers. So things like that. I dig this kind of stuff. And I would totally read this book by this creative team. This, if they had more than just this little few page story. Some of the art in here, it features Starro, I guess. It's really wonderful colors and inks in this story. And I think my favorite story in here is this next one, Bizarro Love Holiday. This also features the Superman of Earth 23, which is a character I love. I think I mentioned this before, but he was in the Multiversity, right? Or was he featured? No, I think he was featured in the Grant Morrison Action Comics run from the New 52. Or I have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway, I really love the story by David F. Walker. Artist was the Gustavo Duarte, Marcelo Maiolo, colorist, and Wes Abbott's the letterer. Andrew Marino is the editor on this one. This has less to do with the actual story than it has to do about the message. And normally when you get a bunch of caption boxes, explaining stuff, or that's essentially what happens here. But the message is just lovely, and I would want this to become reality. This message, and not to mention, speaking of artistic interpretations, the Bizarro in here, his S, which is always backwards, right? But in here, it's portrayed as it looks like yellow tape over a red shield. I love it. It's so Bizarro-esque, unlike the usual depictions, which is just the S shield flipped. So I love that. Anyway, very cool. There's some, so this is less about the Christmas stuff, and because again, I don't want to focus on the Christmas aspect of this book because I want to talk about it with George. But we get the heroes of Earth 13, Super Demon, Hellblazer, Anataz. So Zatanna spelled backwards, which that's a cool thing. Swamp Man, Ragman, Fate, Witch Boy, Dead Man, Enchantress. So you get this lovely. It's the League of Shadows. This is Shali Fish wrote it. Vanessa Del Rey drew it, and Tamara Bonvillain colored it. Farron Delgado is the letterer, and Megan Sinclair and Katie Subert are the editors. But it's wonderfully depicted, because they're going for more of the dark heroes, more of a horror aspect to it, and the art just really well reflects that, I think. There's another Bizarro story in here, which, why do we need two Bizarro stories when there's so many other characters to explore? But, Bizarro's fun. And there's a lovely drawn and message in the Earth 22 Booster Gold story, 'Twas the Night by Brittany Holzer, Todd Knock. This is why I said it's lovingly drawn. It's good art. That's what I'm trying to say. Hi-Fi is a colorist, Anne World Design letters, and Andrew Marino is the editor. Booster Gold appears to be doing his shtick, but then really he has a plan, and it was to bring some Christmas spirit to the people of Planet Krypton that are in Planet Krypton in Earth 22. So I dug it, and there's some other stories in here, and rounded out with a Tom King written Lobo story with art by Scott Koblish, Hi-Fi colors, Rob Steen letters, Liz Erickson and Marie Javins are the editors, and it's a very Lobo Hanukkah. And so Lobo is not one of my favorite characters. It never has been. But in his usual Tom King style, Tom King takes the essence of Lobo and gives it to you in spades along with the artists, but pairs that up with some caption boxes, which is from First Maccabees, the King James translation. So, like I said, in his Tom King style, he elevates the material by including these other references, these other touch points, and I really dug that story. So, just real quick, it was a lovely anthology, and if you missed out, see if you can still seek it out. I just wish they would do more of this kind of stuff, like I said. All right, speaking of Tom King, there is Batman Catwoman, issue number 1, Bat and Cat. So Tom King, as I said, is writing it. Clayman, which really, if I'm being honest, is the reason I'm buying this book. Tom King story too. So yeah, Clayman's doing the art. Tomeo Mori on colors, Clayton Cowles doing letters, and Jamie S. Rich is the editor. I have been waiting for this, anxiously awaiting this. I was curious if this is going to be like a continuation of Tom King's Batman run. And it is to a point, but it seems to be more of a jump to a different kind of story that Tom is telling about these characters. And just, oh my God, lovingly drawn by Clayman with, beautiful and muted and contrasting colors by Tomeo Mori. It's just a lovely, beautiful looking book. And where Tom's jumping timelines here. We have a bit of the future where Selena goes and visits this retired old guy, and then we get the now story where they've teamed up and they're taking on various things. Selena has this conversation with the Joker. What the heck what's going on with that? And there's something to do with the Joker in this. I won't spoil the ending, but it was like, oh my God, I did not see that coming, for sure. And then, of course, what they've been teasing is that this is the return of the Phantasm character from the Batman the Animated Series, that movie that they did. So there's that. I cannot wait for more of these. This is the kind of comic book that I do not mind buying issue by issue, even though I've kind of switched over to reading trades. But this is $4.99. I don't care. Based on what I'm getting out of it, I don't mind paying $5 for this. And I bet you I will end up buying the hardcover deluxe edition of this when it comes out. A book I will not be buying the trade collection for, but I was curious about it. I'm always interested in British superheroes. And what we have here from Marvel Comics is The Union, which is so issue number 1, The Union, the Britannia Project. This is by Paul Grist with a bunch of different people. This is it. I find this very interesting. Andrea DeVito with Paul Grist, pencilers, Drew Garachi, hope I'm saying that right, and LeBeau Underwood with Paul Grist, inkers, and then Nolan Woodard, colorist, VC's Travis Lanham on letters, and Darren Shan is the editor on this. So I have this fondness for some of the British superheroes that I read in some very early comics, or in some comics in my very early comic book reading experience. Was it Union Jack? I remember Union Jack being in The Invaders, and I was always interested in other countries' superheroes. And so when Marvel announced this book, The Union, with characters Union Jack and Britannia, which is kind of like Uncle Sam and Wonder Woman rolled into one, and forgive me, folks in Britain, if I offend by comparing her to two very American superheroes, but that's kind of how I'm seeing this character. And then along with I think Britannia's shown up before in Marvel Comics, or maybe I'm confusing her with some other comics I've read. I have no idea. But if you do, let me know. But then there's some new characters as far as I know. Let's see here. There is the Kelpie. So Britannia, Union Jack. Yeah, Kelpie, which she appears to be able to control water, kind of like Aqualad does. And there is, Snakes. The choir. So Britain has decided that in these times, these troubling times, that, this has an announcement from number 10 Downing Street. And so they've decided to put together a bunch of heroes to inspire Great Britain. And basically the plot of the story is that these heroes are playing a game of capture the flag for a publicity stunt, but then something goes very wrong involving the King in Black stuff that's going on in Marvel Comics these days. As I recall, this book was solicited before King in Black. And in fact, I think it was tied into the previous event thing that was going on, which I have forgotten. And then the pandemic hit, and I honestly didn't think that I would ever get to see this book. But then issue number 1 came out. But so I think they took the time to retool this to make it fit within the King in Black story. So that's neither here nor there, because I really don't care about the King in Black stuff. So I'm hoping that the rest of the miniseries is not that, and it has more to do with the actual characters and, you know, more of a Brittanness about it. I'm making up words as I go, guys. But, you know, like I said, Union Jack is a character I'm familiar with. This is a new Union Jack, someone who is how do they describe him? He's a working man, and he has no magical abilities, which I guess the previous Union Jack had. I didn't know that. Makes me want to go find out more about this character. And then there's Britannia, who is the embodiment of, I guess, Great Britain. And something happens to her in the issue, which I found very unfortunate because I really liked her. Wonderfully drawn in this issue by the artists. I like her costume. It's red, white, and blue, but it's in a very different configuration than we normally see red, white, and blue patriotic type characters. And then Snakes is this big, like, you know, 8 foot tall guy, hooded. You don't see his face. Kelpie has this wonderful pink hair, and she's dangerous, boy. And then the choir has these sonic abilities with this streak of green hair in her black head of hair. Anyway, so these characters don't really, those three, the Snakes, Kelpie, and the choir, don't really come across as friendly or superhero-y. So that's interesting. Why would Great Britain choose those characters to represent the heroic ideals, I guess, of Great Britain? And then they're kind of jerks. The only two that are kind of more or less heroic, or what am I trying to think of? You kind of on their side, I guess, are Union Jack and Britannia. So I'm really curious where this is going to go. I can't wait to read issue 2 and see I don't remember if this is a 4-issue or a 5-issue miniseries, but see where this goes and what it means to the larger sorry about that. The larger Marvel universe in regards to these characters. So yeah. Check it out. Next, I have a couple of the Superman books, Action Comics 1028 and Superman 28. And this is the end of Brian Michael Bendis's run on these books. And I have to say, I haven't really talked about these, I don't think, on the show much, or maybe at all. But I've quite enjoyed much of the Bendis run on these books, and his interpretation and examination of the characters, especially Superman, Clark Kent, and Lois Lane, and their relationship. That's what Bendis does so well. I have seen so many complaints, so many criticisms of Bendis on Superman, and I don't understand it. I think he really gets the character and the character of Lois Lane, probably even more so than Superman Clark Kent. So I've really enjoyed this. Just real quick, the whole mafia. What do they call the underground mafia? No, the silent mafia. Whatever the mafia thing is in Action Comics that he started out with was really strong, and then I think it got derailed with the whole Doom War, Legion of Doom thing that was going on in the larger DC universe. Anyway, so then we got the return of Connor Kent, which also plays into Bendis's, or not. Well, it's Bendis's Wonder Comics, but he wasn't writing it. The Young Justice series, which the first volume of which I have read recently, where we get that band back together. Anyway, the conclusion to Action Comics, Bendis's story, while not as satisfying as I would have hoped, I really enjoyed it. There's something that happens here with Jimmy Olsen and the Daily Planet, which in this issue 1028, I just was laughing so much about it. And the issue ends. This is not a spoiler. It's just a nice way to end the story, which is a shot of Lois Lane's desk. Not empty. She's not at the desk, but it's filled with all these little notes and questions, and it's supposed to be showing how busy Lois Lane is and everything that she's working on. But really, throughout this run, we have seen Lois's desk usually as the first thing that we see in the story, in the issue, and there are clues there, or there are homages to things, or just little tidbits that are just wonderful little nuggets for fans of DC Comics. So it ended very nicely, even though I shouldn't say it. Don't say it, Eric. Despite the John Romita Jr. art. Oh, I said it. I'm sorry. I have not enjoyed Romita Jr. on his run on Action Comics. I just don't like his art. Anyway, okay, so Superman 28. This, while I like, so this features the new character of Sinmar from a planet way out in the universe, so far out that I don't think. Yeah, I don't remember. I was going to say I don't even think that the Guardians are aware of them, or they're just so far away that they're outside the influence of anything, I guess is kind of how I've taken it. Despite this new character, which is it's so much, there's a lot of similarities to me with this character compared to the Rogol Zaar character that started out Bendis's run on Superman. I mean, they even have names that end similarly. Rogol Zaar, Sinmar. So, I mean, if you just kind of shove that aside, those comparisons aside, what you get here is a Superman, and we've seen this throughout Bendis's run. He is willing to use force to resolve conflict if he has to. He doesn't want to. In fact, he goes out of his way to try to communicate. And that much of the last couple issues, 27 and 28, it's Superman just trying to figure out what's going on. Why are you attacking me? What can I do? What can I do to help you? And that's why I say I think Bendis gets Superman. I almost said Batman. Oh my God, get away, Batman. He gets Superman. That is the Superman I think exists. In my headcanon, that is Superman. He's not just this big, superpowered lunkhead who goes around smashing things all the time. He doesn't smash his way through problems. And even though I know we've gotten stories like that over the years, but this is not him. This Superman is the Superman that I have been wanting to read for years. And so I love that about Bendis's run on this book, on this character. Okay, so the Sinmar thing gets resolved, and Superman returns to Earth. And it's the last 3 pages of this book that literally made tears come to my eyes. So there's this girl on the roof in Metropolis, and she's playing her guitar and singing, and apparently she does this quite often. And she's doing this one night, and Superman with Lois Lane, they're flying through the air, and Superman says, "Sorry to interrupt. May we approach?" Lois asks her name, which is Rona Kowalski, and I tried to remember, and I didn't go back through to see if we've seen this character before, or does this name have some sort of significance to Bendis or somebody else on the team? Anyway, Superman says, "We heard you playing, and I thought I should come say hello." Rona says, you heard me playing? Superman, the truth is, Rona, I hear you playing almost every day. I don't mean to intrude, but you're out here playing into the open air and I hear it. And I just wanted to come over here and tell you how much I love your work. Lois says, tell her the other part. She's like the cheerleader here. Superman says, so sometimes I'm a little farther away from home than I'd want to be. And sometimes I find myself stuck in situations, lost. And often your voice is out there, and it helps me get back home. And when things seem dark, your voice, well, I can't tell you why but your music gets me home. I just want to say thank you. And the look on Rona's face is just priceless. What a great way to end Bendis' run on this. A very human moment between Superman and just reflecting, I think, what Bendis' interpretation of Superman really is. This character with so much powers and abilities and responsibility. And he takes time to notice someone playing some music that helps him, that grounds him. I don't know. I just really dig it. I don't think I said everybody on the Superman books. So real quick, on Action, obviously Bendis writing, John Romita Jr., Klaus Janson on inks, Brad Anderson colors, Dave Sharp is the letterer, with, again, Jamie S. Rich editor. Superman, Yvonne Race pencils, Danny Miki inker, Alex Sinclair colors, Dave Sharp on letters, and Jamie S. Rich editor. All right, and then next is Green Lantern number 10, Season 2. Green Lantern Season 2, number 10 by Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp. This book has been interesting. I love Grant Morrison. I've said this, I think, many times. This also includes Steve Wands on letters, J.G. Jones. Oh, very cover. Brian Cunningham, editor. This issue features some multiversal characters. Again, this is kind of a sort of a theme going on here. But different versions of the characters that we know. Different Green Lantern, different Carol Ferris / Star Sapphire. I don't know that I have totally understood what Morrison's doing. I think a lot of this you have to have like this real esoteric knowledge of DC lore to really get everything in here. I'm not exactly sure what he's trying to say through this character, through this story. But what I will say and will recommend for this is the art. If you want some really cool pages to look at, the colors are dynamic and varied. The Liam Sharp art. And, yeah, well, he does everything. Liam Sharp, art and colors. He's doing it all on here. He is amazing. I didn't care for his work on something else I read that he was working. What was he working on before doing this? Liam Sharp. That's not coming to me. But I wasn't the biggest fan of his work before. But this is amazing. This is spectacular. Sometimes it's a little too dark. Some of the images. There's a lot of scenes that are just kind of dark all around. Heavy on the inks, but despite that, this has just been a visual feast. And I look forward to reading or looking at, more appropriately, every issue of this. But we only have 2 more, so which is unfortunate. I would love to see Liam Sharp do more of the art on things that he's working on. So if we get this kind of quality on some books that he's working on, it's like, oh my God, I will read those because it's amazing. And then finally, Justice League Dark, issue 29 is the latest issue, but this is an Endless Winter tie-in. So this is part 7 of the Endless Winter. So to continue with the through line of this episode, that is the issue I read. I don't really care about this issue. In fact, I should have just stopped with issue 28 of Justice League Dark, because that is the end, really, of the run, the story that has been going on since the title launched 28 issues ago. And it's rare that you see a 28 issue story like this. So I applaud DC for allowing this, and also, us fans for buying the book and showing DC that we were interested, we liked it, and therefore they allowed it to keep going on. So yeah, it was a wonderful ending. Obviously they defeat the villain in the end, but they thought they defeated the villain before, but they do. And there's a sacrifice, a couple different sacrifices at the end of the story. Not necessarily of issue 28, but of the story. And oh my God, what happens relating to Zatanna in this is just heartbreaking. But then there's some nice. It's not a happy ending, so to speak, but she's in a better place in the end, and so is Wonder Woman, because that really Wonder Woman is the main reason, as I recall, that we get a lot of the adversarial stuff in the story. Although towards the end of the run of this book, Wonder Woman kind of took sort of a back seat to the story, and as Zatanna took more of a front, became more of the focus of the story, I guess. So I actually quite recommend Justice League Dark, this collection of Justice League Dark, and this issue 28 is by Ram V writer, Amin K. Nahupan, artist, and I've said this artist's name before, and I have no idea if I know I'm screwing it up, but I apologize for that. June Chung is on colors, Rob Lee on letters, and Alex Carr is the editor with Andre Shea. So yeah, good book, great run. In fact, I would say it's the best thing that came out of was it Justice League No Justice miniseries that kind of launched the whole Scott Snyder era of Justice League. Anyway, I will say though, so the story ends, and then the last page of this is actually a transition to the Endless Winter thing that concludes in issue 29. And I have to say that the art on that is pretty spectacular, given the character and what they show. So that's a really cool image, I have to say. Anyway, I kind of wish I had paid more attention to the solicitations for number 29, and I probably would have not bought that issue and just left it at 28. So there you go. I'm not saying it's a bad issue. Just like if you're talking about a complete run, then issues 1 through 28 is that run. 29 is just kind of this extra thing that they threw in to tie into Endless Winter, I guess. I don't know. All right, that's all the books I have. Yeah, I wanted to just check my list to make sure. There were some trades I also got at this time, but I haven't read them yet. So there you go. That's my first of many, maybe, pull list reviews. I hope to be doing this more. I know Damien, Sleepy Reader 666, told me at one point, I don't know if he said it publicly on Twitter, for this was between he and I in direct messages, but he said he'd like to hear more from me about the stuff that I'm reading currently. So that kind of inspired me, Damien. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope everybody else enjoyed this as well. Just some quick thoughts about comics I've read. I want to do more of those and get more content out to you. And, please let me know what you think of this stuff. What do you think about these comics, the ones that I've read that you've read? as well. And you can let me know that by emailing me at longboxreview@gmail.com. So I thank you for listening. Stay safe, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.